What up, everybody? Welcome to the IAG Thursday thing, this thing that we do every Thursday. And we're doing a pretty good job of it. We've kept up with our New Year's resolution fairly well and made most of these. So, be happy. I'm doing my best. Okay. Honestly, the tax time sale is kicking the living crap out of us. Phones are blowing up. It's constantly some sort of fire that's got to get put out. It's a crazy time of the year. So, I thought we'd keep it simple this week. We're going to do we call it an Ask Dewey segment, which is kind of an Ask Me Anything. And some of it's IAG questions, some of it's personal questions, whatever. We're going to take questions that we had in the post I made in the IAG Insiders Lounge Facebook group, which you can join by all means. I'm going to start with that. Then the one that I made on my wall on Facebook. And then any questions that we have in the chat, we're going to go through and we're going to try to answer those. And we'll see what's up. We'll go from there. But we had some pretty good questions. And honestly, I think people might actually learn something. And you know what? That's cool. So, first things first, I'm not going to have Warranty here today. He's out adulting. Can't thank Jordan enough. Jordan works so damn hard in the background of this. All the editing, he bounced in here real quick to start the video recording, which we're going to start recording me at least a little bit and playing around with that and maybe doing some short clips of this. I don't know. We'll see. I have a feeling the powers that be likes the fact that I'm on all of these other podcasts and would like some of that for themselves. Just recently I was on the Koenig podcast and whatever. So I think it's cool. I think that format works and, you get like a little short hot take on a short. I don't know, it works out. We'll try it. And then Randy put together the thumbnail and I appreciate it. Thanks, Randy. So yeah. So I'm going to start out, kind of right from the top. There was a couple in here that are pretty good. Some of them personal, some of them not. And we'll just go from there. I think I'll just start from one of the first ones that were asked. And also I got allergies or something are kicking my ass. So if I'm stopping to cough a little bit, I am sorry, folks. Oh, yes. Right in the beginning of this, thank you, Serpent Wolf. If you guys listen to the Koenig podcast, okay, I'm imploring everybody who listens to this to go listen to the Koenig podcast that I was on. It's up on YouTube and a few different spots, but I need you guys to go over to their YouTube poster, anywhere you see anything that Koenig is posting up with me in it, and tell them they need to get on board with the gold wheels, okay? Because they don't think gold is the answer. And they're damn wrong. And I need you guys to help me prove it. So let's go. Let's go. Forklift starting off with a banger of a question. Can we get Miller Lite as a sponsor? Fortunately, no. I'm drinking Liquid Death right now. I don't even drink. Their argument to it was they were hot in 2006, but like old stuff is becoming cool again, including GDs and things of that nature. So I've got some really good questions that came from this, and I'm kind of excited about getting to some of these. So, but go blow up Koenig. All right. I need my peeps who listen to this, go do work, and then maybe put a comment in Spotify or wherever you see this, comment and be like, I did my duty. Okay. You're doing your part. Let's see it. So, where do we want to start? Those are kind of Jaden. You know what? I think I'm going to start with yours. Jaden Booth in the Insiders Lounge asked, do you think cars like the Saab 92X Aero Manual Outback XTs and manual Forester XTs are going to go up in value like the GD STI is. Not to the same extent, but in general, as there are less and less clean EJ powered turboed Subarus out there. Eh. So I think certain ones in certain colors are going to gain a lot of value. Okay. Um, World Rally Blue Foresters and manual are already pulling a premium, right? Certain like a silver manual Forester is not going to pull anything special. Even if it's clean. But I'm willing to believe that non my brother made this generalization once that has stuck with me. He is absolutely refusing to buy a car that's anywhere between white and black or some variation of gray in between. Okay? Because that's what everything on the road is right now. So he's not wrong. Okay, so your blah colors between white and black or anything gray or silvery or whatever, I don't think they're gonna hold their value for crap. Now, like I said, a World Rally Blue Forester, I think, is going to hold its value, if not gain a little bit more value. In the next 5 years or so, might even gain a little bit more. Manual Outback XTs, because they made them in like quite a few different like two-tone colors. Yeah. I actually think they might actually go up in value because that car kind of does everything. People are really starting to look for more of an analog experience, and these cars give them that. Okay. You can't really purchase anything on the market like it anymore. If you want a manual Outback or something like that, it doesn't exist. So yeah, I do see those going up in value. Now, where this starts getting weird is the 92X Aero. The 92X Aero is an oddity. I don't believe it's going to go up in value now. I believe in 20 years, a mint one is going to go for a ton. Okay. There's so much of an oddity now. And right now, yeah, WRXs like GD chassis WRXs are going up a little bit, but GD STIs are the ones that are skyrocketing. Okay. But 92X Aeros, like, they're odd, and they're odd to find clean. Okay. Like finding a 92X Aero front bumper or rear bumper, that's going to be the thing that keeps it. You can't purchase these things anymore. You can't find them clean. There wasn't enough of them to even go out and get pieces. Like if you know somebody who's sitting on a clean front 92X Aero front bumper, rear bumper, hood, like that sort of stuff, bro, grab that stuff right now. Like the pieces of it are probably actually going to be worth more than the car. I think it's going to be a lot like a Volkswagen Corrado in that way, where people are buying them and then parting them out. I do. I think I don't believe to the right buyer it might go up, and maybe the right one it might do okay, but there's such an oddity. It's gonna be one of those things that it's gonna be a very if you know kind of car, which is kind of a shame because 92X Aeros were these wildly interesting creatures. Okay. Saab was insistent on certain things. So the 92X Aero came with an STI steering rack. It came with Legacy GT brakes. It came with like stuff. It was better than the normal WRX. It had more sound deadening, so it was quieter. It was a nicer car, even though it essentially was a WRX. Saab was just odd. They couldn't just rebadge something. They had to have their own twist on it. And they were cool. They were cool. Different, but they were cool. So Yeah. Saab took the GG WRX and redid so much around the car that GM got pissed at him. Um, so those of you who do not know what a 92X Aero is, because there are some new kids on here, GM used to own basically Toyota's portion of Subaru. Okay. So GM at one point had a decent pull within Subaru. And then in 2003, which would have been the 2004 model year, Saab was dying and they needed stuff. Okay. The WRX was selling like hotcakes. And Saab, GM basically leaned on Subaru to rebadge a WRX for Saab. Okay. And they called it the 92X Aero. And if you look at it, it looks like an AI like front end swap. Okay. But they only came in wagons, and it essentially was the same year WRX, with some tweaks, a little bit different wheel, headlights, front bumper, hood were a little bit different. The taillights were slightly different. And then the other things, the interior was a little bit different, little different coloring. Came with an STI steering rack, came with Legacy GT brakes. Now, they also switched to the 2.5 liter at the same time in 06. I think those are going to be really hard to get a hold of. The 2.5 liter 92Xs, because there are only 3 years in the 92X, 2 years with a 2 liter, 1 with a 2.5. Those are going to be the ones that if any value is going to get held, it's going to be those odd boys. But I don't see them turning into like massive collector's items. But if you're a Subaru bro, it's kind of like the Subaru Casablanca, except way less ugly. And honestly, I think the 92X Aero looks better than most GDs. I think it's a very pleasing car. The Subaru Casablanca was not. That thing was butt ugly. The Casablanca's terrible looking. So like but I think it's going to be the same way in like, 10, 15 years, where you roll up in a 92X Aero and those in the know are going to be like, dude, that's sick. And then other people are going to be like, what is this Saab? What even is Saab? Because Saab hasn't even been in business in years now. So I don't know. That's, I don't see that being a thing. Now, again, going back to this, World Rally Blue Foresters, I think are going to kill it. Odd Color Outback XTs, I think are going to kill it. Automatic or manual, I think will still do okay. Manual Foresters are always going to be a hot commodity, but I bet you Outback XTs, I bet you those go up in value. I bet you that might be a sweet spot. That a properly done Outback XT, automatic or manual, I think will do pretty well. I know. Only the future will tell. Okay. Cameron Johnson asks, here's one not meant to be spicy or controversial, just something he wondered. And this is a good question. What is, he says your guys, he's talking about IAG. What is IAG's requirement or process for a shop/installer to gain your certified engine installer certification? Does this certification come with any type of major caveats, i.e. the installer can only sell or install IAG blocks, yada, yada, yada. So this is, first off, I don't work in the wholesale department. Not that I don't help small shops when they call and anything I can do, but like once you start doing a decent amount of volume, you kind of go into the wholesale side. You're going to talk to our boy Kent. Okay. So I chatted with Kent a little bit on this, just the real basic rundown of what you would need to be a certified engine installer. It's kind of the 500-foot view, but it gives you an idea what they are. Okay. So long story short, you need to be a gold dealer for usually around 3 years. Okay. Before we even start talking about it, basically you need to have already been selling a pretty decent amount of product. Okay. For us to even talk about it. And then the next thing that goes into this is it's a territorial thing. Like how many certified engine installers are in your area versus how many engines and stuff we're selling within that area. So if you're way out in the middle of nowhere, you're probably not going to have much competition. But then again, you're also probably not going to be moving a ton of product. But there might be a conversation about, messing with, if we got a good relationship with you, all of this can be discussed. Okay. But we try to keep, territorial areas, cities, regions, whatever. We try not to oversaturate with too many certified engine installers. Okay. And then a lot of this again is based on the relationship. Like if you guys are doing a whole bunch of, our engines and we've been working together for a few years and there's nobody in your area, it behooves both of us to make you a certified engine installer, but there has to be a good relationship there. Um, One of the big things we look for in CEIs is you need to be able to do front to back everything. So like customer walks in the door and says, "Hey, I want to do an engine. Okay? I want to do this whole build." All the way from taking the order, installing, having the conversation with the customer, anything that needs to be done, and tuning, we really want all done in-house. Okay. So it's pretty rare to see a certified engine installer without a dyno or some sort of like close relationship with a dyno or whatever. We want you to be able to take care of everything front to back with that customer. And again, this goes into relationship building. Okay. We want to make sure that we have a good relationship with said shop before there's even a conversation about this. Um, that's the big thing. As far as any requirements to not sell anything else, as far as I know, not really. But I gotta be real. If we're at that form of relationship, you probably aren't selling anything else. It just makes the most sense to be selling our product, but I don't think it's handcuffed in any way. But again, that's something, if you were very serious about this, if you're listening to this and you're doing a whole bunch of IAG installs and you're trying to figure out what it takes to become an installer, I'd recommend shooting a email over to wholesale@iagperformance.com and chatting them up about that. But I'm going to be just straight up honest with you. If you've done 3 engines in the past 2 years, you're not going to be a certified engine installer. I love you. It ain't it. Okay. If you don't have a like proper brick and mortar location, where a customer can walk in, aka we're not doing this in some garage behind somebody's house or something along those lines, probably not going to be a certified engine installer. If all you do is drop ship product, probably not going to be a certified engine installer. Okay. um that's just how it works. But one of the nice things about being a certified engine installer is it does come with, the 1-year warranty goes up to a 2-year warranty. And you get a little bit more mileage out of it. It's a benefit to to the customers to go through a certified engine installer if it makes the most sense for them. Now, I've said this before and I'll say it again, and I'll say it in front of everybody. I think it's a bigger deal to make sure you go to a shop that you have a good relationship with versus shopping totally based on warranty. But again, it's something to think about and keep in the back of your mind. So if you guys ever have any questions about that, easy to find, just give me a call. I'm more than happy to chat it up. So what do we got? What's next? Austin Fabian asked 2 different questions. Okay. We'll go to his first one. What else are you into for hobbies? RC, pew pew, etc. That's so he's actually got quite a few questions. We're gonna answer all Austin's questions because why not? All right. First one, my other hobbies. There are a lot of RGB in here. Sim racing, obviously, is something I do a lot of. You guys can see my rig in the background most of the time when I don't have all the lights off, but it's over there. Do a lot of sim racing. Obviously, racing cars, stuff like that, are a really big part of my life. but more of the stuff that's kind of outside of cars. Um, it is I have 9,500 comic books in my house. I am a massive DC fan. I have one of my favorite things to do if I have a free Sunday, which is one of the things I didn't like about the BRZ and really like about the WRX, is we can go kind of road trip around. It's fun to drive around, but I have room to stick comic books. If I want to stick a long box in there or whatever, it works out real easy. And when it's not just me, my wife is terrifying when it comes to this stuff. So yeah. Love me some comic books. Anybody who's ever been to my house knows the situation with that. They're everywhere. You can't get out of the way of it. Um, I'm a, I've dabbled quite a bit in RC and would like to continue to dabble in it, but Boogie has taken up so much of my time. I haven't really had much of a chance to mess with RC. Um, which sucks because to me, RC is like, it's racing in almost its purest form. It's so cheap that you kind of get everything you want out of racing, including like having to keep the vehicle together and you're like worried about breaking things and stuff like that. You have all the aspects of racing, one, without the danger, and two, it's like if you do break something, it's expensive as $30. You know what I mean? Unless you like really screw up, and then like if you've got to get a new motor, a new motor is like 100. Okay, like it's not expensive. If you ever wanted to go racing and maybe learn stuff about chassis dynamics to a certain degree or whatever, I recommend RC racing. And the kind of racing I do is outdoor off-road stuff. So it's 8th and 10th scale. Like I've got a 10th scale mini truggy I love. I've got an 8th scale full-size truggy I love. I want to get an 8th buggy. I just haven't had a chance to do that, but that's honestly what I should have just bought in the first place. I kept trying to beat around the bush. I love my truggy though. It's complete riot. Thanks, so much fun. Yeah, it's great. The initial cost to get into it can be a little daunting. You're going to spend $1,000 like that, but you're going to get a lot out of your $1,000. That's like, then you're spending 20, $30 to go to an event. You're going to meet all sorts of interesting people. And like, unless you're constantly crashing it into things, you're not going to hurt anything. You're just going to have a good time. So yeah, it's good. RC is a lot of fun. Past that, I know it's not really a hobby, but hanging out with my kids, I'm a big electronics geek. I really am a big electronics geek. So like I've got a fairly nice TV in my living room, and then I just got an OLED in my bedroom. And I currently am trying to put together a really good collection of either Blu-ray or 4K DVDs, because I hate the compression of once you get a really nice TV, you start to see how bad streaming services actually are. So like my buddy Ray got me Deadpool on Blu-ray. He found it at like a yard sale or something. It's like, hey, I got you something. It's one that I didn't have, So I'm constantly looking for, especially the 4K DVDs. I'm constantly looking for, bigger movies that I've got a pretty good collection going, but I'm looking for those. But streaming is awful. And I love going to the theater. And I want that same experience to the best of my ability at home. And that's where I started getting kind of geeky as far as that goes. Other than that, yeah, I'm a pretty simple dude, I gotta be real. Pretty straightforward. Let's see. Austin, what's new with Boogie this year, if anything? Boogie's got quite a few new things going on. So I guess we'll just give you a quick Boogie update, because things are getting taken apart and going back together right now. The big change that is being made this year that is going to dramatically affect time, I think, is going to be the suspension. We went from Fortune Fortunato two ways, the dreadnoughts, to the RCE Tarmac 2 RS. Is that what they're calling those? Either way, basically they're KW Motorsports based uh RCEs, and they are sick. It did wreak a little havoc with Dylan trying to install them because of some of the way Fortune does stuff compared to how like KW built certain things, and Dylan had to get a little custom with a K on some stuff, and we're figuring it out. We'll get it sorted, but man, it was going to be rough, but this should be a massive step up. And this is nothing against Fortunato. It just we're outrunning the capabilities of what their Pro 2As can do for us at this point. And we were running into small issues that we were starting to have. We needed something different to fix the problem. There, we're really hoping the Miles at RC has been awesome. Okay. If you can tell, I'm trying to choose my words here really wisely. Miles at RC has been awesome. And one of the biggest reasons we're doing this, not only do I believe that the product is better for what we're doing, even though it is significantly more expensive, is we're also getting Miles support. Okay. So Miles will be at the track at a lot of these events, helping us out, helping other people out, giving advice as far as suspension goes. We were getting to the point where it was starting to get outside of problems we could solve. Okay. We're able to give them a lot of data, and he's able to give us a lot of feedback. And this was something that, I have to be real, I love Fortune. They just got a lot on their plate, and it's not something they could like directly help us. That and Fortune is a great coilover, especially for the money. Okay. But we needed to take another pretty serious step up. And again, we're not talking the same league of suspension here. This is the stuff we're going to be running, essentially the same suspension that you see on like GT3 Cup cars and stuff like that. Like this is we're in a different league of things here. And again, it's not that I still have had 510s, my Beersy's toast now, but I had 510s on that. I will probably put Fortunes on the Mini. I set a whole ton of records on either 500s or 510s throughout the years. My STI in the garage still has 510s on it. It isn't like our IAG street spec coilovers that we work with Fortune. All those things are fantastic, especially for the money. It's incredible for the money, and especially since they're on sale right now. They're great, but those race comps, again, going back to this, just it's a different level of suspension, and it is not something that you could even remotely offer for anywhere near the price of a Fortunato. You can't. Okay. So I had a lot of people like, oh my God, why'd you leave Fortune? And it's like, stuff has just gotten crazy. This car is nuts. Okay. I don't think people realize how fast we are going. Like we are going significantly faster than like factory backed race cars in a lot of situations. Like we need to really step it up. So, Dylan wants to chat. Say your piece.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah. Sound great.
Okay. It's through my headphones, so unfortunately, it's going to do what it be.
Yep.
Something I did want to say about the suspension to kind of give everybody a little bit more detail into what's kind of going on, is Miles, myself, and Dewey have been working together for a few months now, especially in the off season, but prior to that, to collect data on what we needed to do. So it's not like it's like the best way to describe it is it's going from like a um kind of a suit that kind of fits at all, roughly that size. You can go shop for a suit or some shoes that kind of they fit you, but they're
Mm-hmm.
not like fitted to it's basically a fitted nice suit, custom suit. So we've gone through measurements and numbers and spring rates and all this other crazy stuff, what the car is doing now, what we want it to do. And they built the suspension around those numbers. So something we had run into, and I don't know if you talked to about this, but the ride height situation should be fairly close to what we wanted it at. And there's only so much adjustment in these because we gave them those numbers and we had to swap out some helper springs, but everything else is dialed right in. So
Mhm.
these things could be pretty sweet.
I'm hyped. I learned a lot having some really good conversations with Miles about shock dynos and where the frequencies where the car actually rides at and why I'm feeling certain things happen. And he helped us a ton last year on a product that wasn't his, nor trying to sell us or do anything. He just wanted to be involved. And
Yeah, and
that
there's a lot of small stuff that I don't know and I have learned from Miles already.
Mhm.
And we're talking about very small stuff like sway bar angles. I did not think that was a super important thing. Somewhat important, but not like critically important. And come to find out that is massively important.
it's and you need somebody with that kind of mindset to take a look at everything that we've done with what we've done. A lot of the car as it sits right now is just adjustments that have happened, hell, even prior to Dylan, that have happened over the years of compounding. Let's try this to see if it works. That seemed to work. Now let's do this other thing. And years and years and years of this building up to sometimes things go outside of the range of where they should be. And so also having Miles being able to come in with a completely fresh set of eyes, look at this and go, yeah, that ain't right. We need to fix that.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, he's already taught me a lot, and
Mhm.
I'm super thankful for it. And I think it's only up from here. We're looking at doing like linear potentiometers, and so the idea would be, go out, have an idea what the suspension should be set to based off of previous data, and then what we want the car to do, and then go out hopefully on a test day before qualifying or competition begins. Be able to set a fastest time and make a change to the suspension based off of the data we're seeing. So it should no longer be us just going, hey, I wonder what this might do. Like, oh, we need to add 4 or 5 clicks to the rear because it's doing this. Let's try that.
Yep.
It should be calculated like, hey, we need to do this to get this goal.
I'm hyped.
So I'm
So,
I'm I'm super stoked. I am incredibly stoked on what the suspension is going to do for us, and the support and knowledge that we have with Miles is going to be insane for us. So
yep.
I think, like you said, the Fortunautos, I still have a set on my Outback. I don't think I'll ever not have Fortunautos on my daily cars. Like I love Fortune. It just we're going, from something that's really good to something that's hyper supported.
Yeah. It's again, it's just different. A good way of putting it is we went from the best suit you can buy at JC Penney, which is still a nice suit, okay, to a custom tailored Armani.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
different.
yeah.
Um,
And we don't have Penske money, so
no,
you know.
no, we don't. Okay. And Penske money is like you drop the chassis off, like Multimatic tells you what needs to be made. They order the Penske's exactly what it needs to be, and they stick it on a shaker rig. And by the time it's done, it's $200,000. We don't have that.
Yeah.
So
So I'm super excited there. I don't know. I don't know how you're feeling, but I'm hyped right
I'm
now.
pretty hyped. I'm pretty hyped. We got a lot of other stuff going too, though. So let me get through these questions and stay in the background because I got a feeling we're probably going to need you again. Okay.
All right.
I am going to kick you off the stage, though. Let me kick you out of here.
I can pick myself off maybe.
Kick
I
yourself
kick
off.
you
That's not
Yeah.
nice.
later.
Bye. All right. Other things we're improving on Buggy just off the top of my head is We are adding brake proportioning, so a brake bias valve, which is going to help a lot because honestly, we really aren't using our back brakes hardly at all in the car. Never really wanted to rotate under braking, and it's something I definitely wanted to add to it. That's going to take a little bit of getting used to, so we're going to have to mess with it. But I got to be real, even though the brakes were reliable and we're slowing the car down and it's doing what it needs to do, and this is no knock on EBC whatsoever, it's amazing how well the EBCs performed for what we were doing. We think it can be improved by us improving the car. So we're hyped to see where that goes too. Past that, there's some small stuff, but that's the big stuff. Okay, that's the big stuff. We're still playing around with maybe doing some basic aero things. May or may not be a new livery coming. There's definitely some new stuff to talk about as far as the program in general. We got some huge stuff coming with that. We'll tell you all about that when we can, if you guys are like big boogie fans, but those are the big things. Okay. Next question, is Warranty finally happy with his BRZ? Warranty's never happy. This is something I don't think, I'm just going to be real. Warranty is never happy with anything he owns. Okay. Never. I basically built him what he wanted, and then he realized that's not what he wanted. And that's, I don't know how else to put it. Like, I honestly, I think maybe I accomplished the mission too well. We're going to try some stuff. I think one of the things that didn't help it is those are the most vague tires I've ever driven in my life. And I don't recommend them for basically anybody. I think it was the Advan Neova 8009. I don't remember what tire he has on there. The tire he has on there, I don't recommend. It's a very quiet, nice, good-looking street tire. If you're not going to push the car but want grip so you feel like you're cool, maybe it's a great tire for that, but they just do not communicate anything. So the car is crazy fast and you don't feel a part of it. So I think if the tires made more noise, he might feel like he can approach the limits better. So, yeah, so that's that. And then he also had one other question. Austin did. What's the most fun car you've had? Maybe give us a rundown of what you've owned and what the current fleet is, though I think it's been covered before. So yeah, he's actually got two questions. So that's one. Man, that's a tough one. I met the majority of my friends and stuff in my bug eye. Okay, my original O2 WRX. I had such a good time with that. I had extremely good times in my old original Del Sol too. That was kind of what brought me into the car community. Okay. So that also, gets a nod. My wife's 05 STI, after I got that thing set up right, God, that was fun. Chasing down cars that I had just no right messing with. Really good. Car's fun on track. It completely disproves the fact that so many people out there believe that all-wheel drive cars just, no matter what, understeer. Drive that and tell me it understeers. Like, it just doesn't. It is a ton of fun, and you need to be very awake to drive it. I'm actually going to have to chill it out to give it to my wife, which we'll be doing that in the not too distant future. As far as the most fun car I've had, though, overall, I got to be real, probably my BRZ. The reason it is as good as it is to me is I got the BRZ after Boogie. Okay. Boogie scratched the itch of crazy fast car. Now, I've had other really fast cars. My old car, we used to call the Warthog, really fast street build for a GC. Sweet car, ton of fun. went street racing with it. You can look me up in 1320 video, 2013 mini cash days, I think is what it was. Like, had a good time in that car. Don't get me wrong. And that was fast, but Boogie was like on a different level. Boogie scratched that insane car itch exactly the way I needed it, to the point where I was like, okay, I need something a lot simpler now. And that's where the BRZ came in. The BRZ didn't have to prove anything. It just had to be fun. It was all that was a training car. And that's why that car worked. Its simplicity is what made it work. It didn't make power, so I couldn't rely on it to go fast. And it did a lot to teach me lots of things. And I didn't realize how much I had learned until not last year, but the year before, when I took it to Tail of the Dragon for Renfest and chased a bunch of Porsches around with it. And they could not get away from me. And the thing makes 180 horsepower to the wheels. You know, it was nothing fancy, but it's got good tires. It's got a lot of suspension, and it's got a bunch of basic bolt-ons, but still an FA20. It's a basic BRZ. Well, it was a basic BRZ. God, that car's fun. In the right situation, it's phenomenal. Sucks ass when you're driving out in the middle of nowhere, or it's like it's not exactly the most comfortable car, you know. If what you're trying to do is drive a back road and have a good time with it, though, man, you're gonna have a very hard time beating that car. It's good. It's really good. I'm hoping to get 90% of the fun of the BRZ, knowing what I know now and what I want out of the car, out of the Bug Eye that I'm building right now, but like still have. I'm trying to cure some of the things I did not like about the BRZ. The BRZ was awful in a lot of situations, especially when it got straight and flat. Like the car just was not fast at all. Anytime the car looked way faster than it was. So like if a Mustang or something pulled up next to you, it wasn't happening. Okay. There was, and if you wanted to take any more, if you need to use it for something, you kind of couldn't. Like the back seats are a lie. All right. So it really is a 2-seater car you can't really do much outside. So it didn't have hardly any utility. So taking it for a weekend or something wasn't easy. It's super easy with a Bug Eye, you know, things like, and you know, I like ice racing. I want to go ice racing. I want to do things like that. You can't really do that. So, worse than SVX back seats. Yes. I said it, so let it be written, so let it be done. Dylan did beat me in an HPD with the BRZ. That actually happened. I was stomping his nuts off, and I decided not to downshift going up a hill because I didn't think it was worth the shift, and watched all of the time evaporate, and I could not get it back by the end. So it was good. He did it. Dylan has come a long way with his driving also. So he deserves some props there. So, yeah. And Austin, one more. After so many years of a Subaru, what's kept you interested in this sandbox? So many good competitors throughout. You know, this one's easy. Why? Why do I still keep screwing with Subarus? You guys. I'm here for the community. There are lots of other options, and I have looked at other options. I really looked at a C6 Z06. It got really close. Okay. Just before the time I took my BRZ to Tail the Dragon, I was seriously considering a C6 Z06. There was one here local. The price was right. I sent Dylan pictures of this. It almost happened. But then I took the BRZ, and I gotta be real. I had so much fun, like slapping the nuts off of these like rich guys with this piece of shit, that it was so effective at like humiliating really rich people that I was like, no, I'm all in on this again, and kind of like reverted back. But I mean, I'm not gonna lie. Let's say like I had the chance to buy a really sick Evo 6. I'd have a hard time not doing something like that. I've got soft spots for third gen RX-7s. I'd love to swap a third gen MR2. There's lots of stuff I'd still like to do, but I love this community. And I also, something about the fact of when somebody tells you you can't do something, which the entire automotive community tells you can't do that with a Subaru or it's never going to happen. Hell, people within IAG have told me that we're never going to win a championship. And now we've won two. Makes you want to do it so much more just to prove them wrong. And it's one of the reasons I still stay with Subaru. Because I'm like, I don't believe you. And now I'm going to prove that we can do it. Whether that was the motivation of them saying things like that or not, I don't know. But what I will tell you is, if you win a race in a Corvette, okay, you are just the guy in a Corvette. You win a race in a Subaru, you're a legend. People will talk about you forever. Whatever that thing is, drag racing, people still talk about CJ from the internet, okay? Drag racing, time attack, whatever. The only time that a Subaru is the right answer in any form of motorsports is almost always rally. If it's not rally, it's not the right answer. And even anymore, modern rally, it doesn't get brought up a ton. Okay. Like, I'm just saying, this community is different. And one of the things I really like about this community is we do tend to, even though there's rivalries within our community, when somebody does something awesome within the community, we all tend to acknowledge it. I want to continue that. Like, we got a little big for our britches in, let's say, the late 2010s, that 15 to 18 area, I think, where I think the community split a little bit. Some attitudes came out and like, honestly, post-pandemic, it has been a little refreshing for everybody to go, yeah, actually, we are just one community. We need to chill out. Okay. And I think that is, that's something that makes this community special. And we need to stick together. So yeah, that's why I'm still around. 'Cause of you guys, the community. We did that one. My buddy Dean asks, how much does your AARP membership cost? Fuck you. Fucking Dean. Dean's a good buddy of mine. Great guy. Also a Marine. Born? He's always been pretty good about winning the youngest Marine with most of the places he was at, because he was born on the Marine Corps birthday. Imagine that. And then became a Marine. James Fitzpatrick. Mechanical grip tuning path, tires, bars, rebound, compression, alignment, ride height, add arrow for high speed grip. In what order? That's a solid question. So let's just start. It's kind of like a suspension tuning path. Now, how you would go about this, it is more determined on what you're trying to accomplish. Okay. If you are doing autocross, honestly, with both of these, your very first place you always start is tires. Okay. You put the grippiest damn tire on your car you can for whatever you are doing. Now, if you're learning to drive or whatever, I would say the grippiest tire you can afford to lap. Okay. You don't want a tire that's so grippy and falls off in 2 laps, because you're not going to learn shit from that. Okay. You want the car to be consistent. So something like, don't go buying an RE71 RZ, maybe go look at an RT660. Okay. There's lots of Yeah, but again, that's the start of increasing grip. The first thing you need to do before you increase anything is learn to drive. Okay, you'd be surprised how many people start modding their car thinking it's going to fix their driving problems. Okay, um, if you can't use the grip of the car you already have, what are we even talking about? So going back to this, tires, bars, rebound, compression, yada yada yada. Tires are always the first place you start. Okay, now um, if what you're trying to do is change the balance of the car, sway bars are a good way to do that. And sway bars are a tuning tool that you can do a couple of different things. Like if you're autocrossing and you want this car to rotate more, you could just disconnect your front sway bar and the car will rotate more. Okay. That sway bars doesn't necessarily mean purchase bigger bars. It means changing the offset from front to rear in some cases. There's things you can try before you start throwing money at the situation, but sway bars are a decent place to low dollar change the balance of the vehicle. Okay. um I'd highly recommend a set of coilovers after that. An alignment can go a long way also. Just a basic alignment, even with your stock suspension. Get as much front camber as you can. Dial out rear toe in so it's more of a zero toe situation. Maybe a little toe out in the front. It'll eat your tires a little more, but the car will handle better. Okay. So an alignment can go a really long way. This is assuming you know how to drive. Okay. But past that, if an alignment isn't enough, I really don't recommend going springs and I don't recommend going shocks. Go straight to coilovers. Okay. Do the whole thing together. This is going to allow you a few things, especially on a Subaru. And the big thing is a lot more camber in the front, which is going to help a ton. But you can also mess with ride height. You can get the car corner balanced. Your spring rate's probably going to go up quite a bit. And the shock is, in most cases, going to match the spring. Cheap ass shit, sub $1,000 coilovers, there's a very good chance your car will not handle better. Just fair warning. It might look cooler, and maybe that's what you're after, but it's probably not going to do what you think it's going to do. Um, Alignment, like I said, needs to be further in there. Ride height is going to be a part of the coilover thing. And in adjusting balance. Now, as far as aero goes, now we're starting to talk about high speed stuff. Okay. If you're going to know if you need aero. And again, a lot of this is at this point, you've done the basics. All right. And one of the things people also don't talk about with handling balance is brakes. If you aren't using your brakes correctly, you can induce so much more rotation with your brakes than you realize. And if you use your brakes correctly, it'll completely change what you think you want out of your alignment, your suspension settings, whatever. Okay. But let's say you get a bunch of mechanical grip together. You got good tires, you know how to drive. At this point, you need to hit the brakes and go, what do I want out of this car? Am I trying to compete with it or am I just trying to go fast? Okay. Because at this point, I would tell you, figure out what you want to do, because the class you might be going into maybe doesn't allow aero, or maybe it does, but it's limited in what you're allowed to do. Or maybe the class you're in allows more or less tire than what you are currently running, or and you want to try to maximize whatever tire you can for said class, and then that might change some of the balance up a little bit too. You also seem to glaze over with all of this that everything you spoke about, as far as how a car would handle, gets improved by like lowering the weight of the vehicle. Lightweight seats, if you've got an older car like a GC or something, you got a steel hood, aluminum hood or a carbon hood. There's a lot of weight you can pull out of the car that it'll completely change the way the car handles. The less the car weighs, the more you're going to get out of your tires. Okay. So, that's another, keep that in mind. But again, you got to watch what you do, because if you pull too much out, maybe you won't be legal for said class that you're in. So again, going back to this, when you get to that point where the car's kind of doing what you want it to do, you've got a lot of track time in, you kind of got yourself figured out, and you're like, I want to compete. you need to figure out how to class yourself and what's worth it. Okay. Um, and that's one of those situations where you talk to somebody like me, you talk to a shop, you figure out what's going to work for you, maybe go to some of these events, look at how the cars are modified, see which one makes the most sense for what you want out of it, and then work towards that. Okay. And then this whole conversation changes once again. So it gets a little open-ended when you look at it that way. James also said, is it the way you brake and steer screwing up turn in regardless of the parts and setup? I kind of just went over that, and it absolutely, your braking can drastically change how you approach handling. Okay. It's kind of almost like the Dunning-Kruger curve. You think you know what you're doing until you learn a little bit more and realize you don't know shit. Okay. Um, Once braking is a nasty, nasty peak of Mount Stupid. You think you're braking really well until you learn a little bit more and realize your brake release is probably been complete shit, and how you turn the vehicle in has been complete shit. And the amount of time you were leaving on the table due to it is insane. Um, that's the, I can't stress that enough. And Dylan just said in the chat, he's dead honest, right? If you think you are fast, go get iRacing. Start messing around on a sim. You are going to learn and understand braking really quickly. You're going to find out people hop on there thinking they're shit hot, and, they can't get their I rating over, 1200. They can't figure out why. So they're having a hell of a time. At first they're going to start blaming everybody's crashing into me or whatever. Well, it's because you're driving back with a bunch of numpties. Okay. That you can't figure out why you can't qualify in the top of these lower ranked groups. And it almost always, it comes down to how you're using your brakes. Once you realize how to use your brakes, you will pick up heaps of time. We're talking multiple seconds in a lot of situations. And it changes everything. It changes everything. Okay. And you'll end up getting into higher rank lobbies, racing against a lot faster people. And even then you will constantly be learning that there's always somebody faster. And you can always improve. So again, there's modifying your car can help a lot, and Subaru builds these cars to be safe for morons. And once you can drive, modifying your car in a way that you can exploit because you do know how to drive can definitely net gains. But you need to know how to drive. Okay? You need to know how to drive first. So, man, I think that's about it on this. Then I got one more. Hold on. There was a good question in here, I think. Ooh, stop. Okay. John on my own wall asks, when would it be worth upgrading to a higher amp alternator? I've been having intermittent issues with my dual fuel pumps at wide open throttle where the car completely shuts off and is throwing a low voltage code. I mean, I think you hit it, bud, but we'll get there. Just picking your brain on if it's a good idea to upgrade the alternator. If you might have running any issues running dual 450s and a radium hanger, like you're saying it. Okay. Long story short, your fuel pumps are probably drawing so much power that the ECU is losing its mind. You're asking a lot here. I'm assuming that these are hardwired and they're getting direct voltage, meaning the ECU is probably not getting enough voltage. Okay. And the problem is if they're not getting enough, if your fuel pumps aren't getting enough voltage, they're probably not outputting what they should. And there's a very good chance you're going to be running lean. Okay. I cannot stress enough. You are past that point. High volume fuel pumps, for the most part, draw quite a bit of juice. All right. So, high voltage alternators are a very good, well, high amperage alternators are a very good idea. We ran into all sorts of issues with Boogie, and not because we were fine at first. We had a 450 in the tank, and the Fuel Lab brushless pump actually doesn't draw as much as you would think. But then we decided we were going to do the electronic wastegate, the electronic blow off valve, and electronic fuel pump, or sorry, electronic power steering. All of those draw quite a bit. So we made the decision very early on when we were putting together the wiring harness, that was something we needed to do. But I highly recommend that you got to think about those things. When I bet you, if you were to start adding all of this up, you were to look at the power draw of each of these at wide open, you would realize you're outrunning your alternator. So think I pretty much nailed that, but I would highly recommend looking into that. I have heard of people taking like H6 alternators or like Outback alternators or something, or maybe a different brand alternator. And my buddy Tyler was talking about this, and I thought it was interesting that they have a higher output, and they're fairly easy to rebuild, and it might be enough to do what you need it to do. If you plan on doing electric power steering or anything like that, you're going to start getting loony like us, just go get a badass alternator. Just don't screw around with it. Okay. Dirty Blue, I was going to order a 280 DC power from you guys, and how about you call me tomorrow? Okay. Looks like we don't sell them. I think we do. It just might not be on the site. So call me up at IAG, just ask for Dewey. We'll get you taken care of. Okay. I'm pretty sure we still have an account with them. I think maybe like part numbers changed or something. But that's what we run in ours too. So we got a big ass DC power one. They look really cool. So yeah, just call me up and we'll figure it out, dude. No big deal. That's why I'm here, is to try to solve those issues. There's so much stuff that we can get that is not on our site for all sorts of random reasons. If it is not on our site, hit me up. Okay. Like a lot of people don't realize, like, we're a authorized Volk dealer. I can get Volk, Advan, Gram lights, all of that stuff. We're a dealer for all sorts of crap, and a lot of it isn't on the site. A lot of it is due to the fact that the part numbers change a lot, and honestly, we're just not set up to keep up with a lot of that. But there's so much crap we can get. So if you're ever like, hey man, like, I don't see this on your site, is there a way you can get it? If I can't get it, or Robert can't get it, we will point you in the right direction to get it. Okay. There's some stuff that like we don't carry. Like, I don't carry Link ECU. Okay. But I really like Link ECU. So I tend to send people to Graham to get Link ECU. And then he's really good at making sure you get the right Link ECU for what you need. More than likely, he's probably going to tune your car too. So works out great. Link's good stuff. So that answers that. Man, we actually did pretty good on this. That a pretty solid ask Dewey. Do we got any good questions in here? I feel like there was one or two, so I'm heading back. I'm picking up my second bug eye this weekend. Let's go. Let's go. I want pictures of that thing. Let's do it, dude. Love it. Seriously though, straight up, gold needs to be a thing. I need you guys' help. Let's go blow up Koenig and make it happen. Sorry, just peeking through here real quick. Does anybody know how Fortune Autos could need two different ride heights even though all the other settings are the same to make the car sit flat? There is a very good chance that you have something bent and don't realize it. I'll be the first one to tell you, Boogie is not straight at this point. Okay. The one side's a little higher than the other. If that car was ever in any sort of an accident or whatever, it may not be exact. Okay. There's a lot of different things. Not only that, you have to remember that your weight is sitting on one side. Okay. So that will offset it too. So if you're, and it's visually, you can see that. So, there's lots of different things that can do that. Not only that, let's say you get the front sorted out right, but the rear is slightly different. You know, like the subframe's in there slightly tweaked or something, you don't realize it, and one side's slightly higher than the other. That will then add weight to one side in the front or the other, or pick weight off of it one side or the other. Like it's never going to be exact. Okay? It's this is why corner balancing is a really big deal. Serapin Wolf, them skirts done yet? No. Steph Towler, tire suggestions for street slash track tire. This is a tough one, man, because I gotta be real. If you can take any tire to the track, if you're willing to risk it for the biscuit, you know, you can take just about anything. Like those Continental makes like a 220 treadwear thing that can do kind of everything. Might be worth looking into. But you can drive any 200 treadwear tire on the street. I mean, they almost all of them, like they are okay in rain. Okay, especially with plenty of tread on. The RE71 is incredible in rain. It's insane how good that is in rain. The RT660 will last longer and it's better for like doing multiple laps, but it's like so in the rain compared to the RE71, but it'll still work, you know. So there's lots of tires around there. Now I don't recommend going and throwing like some 100 treadwear tire on your car and ripping around in those. You're going to just eat them. You know what I mean? Endurance 200 treadwear tires tend to be kind of the play, for something that could do both and kind of look cool. Randy, I'm here for the aero chat. There wasn't much aero talk about. Randy needs aero. Randy's car is actually ballistically fast on small tires and no aero. I cannot wait for Randy to actually like go to like mid Ohio or something and come to the realization that holy shit, I definitely need some aero. He's really gonna notice it coming into something like China Beach. It's gonna be eye opening for him. WT ripped my 2011 WRX rear ended and pushed the other side of the car. Bummer, dude. Bummer. I mean, I got good news for you. Hopefully insurance pays out or they pay you out and then you just go get an 08 STI because they're going to pay out for your 2011 WRX. You go a few years older and get the older STI. That's the answer. Scroll up. I'm scrolling up. What do you want me to scroll up for now? Copy and pasta if I'm missing something. Should I post the oil cooler duct? Your oil cooler duct, if I'm who you think you are, Nolan, is pretty damn sick. You've got some nice stuff going. Nolan, the V730, solid tire, not great in the rain. I'm going to throw that out there, but it's definitely a do both tire. Yeah, Randy, you felt it at Putnam. Putnam's a very good example of some place you would want aero too. Yeah, you don't have enough tire under it to kind of get away with not having aero, and your car makes a lot of power. So it scoots. Why aren't you as, oh my God, these are so hot as I am about new camber plate setup? I've just seen a lot of camber plates in my day, dude. Like they're cool, but they ain't that cool. I gotta be real. Like I'm not that bonered up about those. I don't understand. I mean, what are they? Titanium or something? I mean, they look cool, but in the end of the day, they're just a camber plate. Sorry, man. I love you, bud, but just, it ain't doing it. Yeah, you are the duck guy. And yes, so he made a really sick duct for a peanut eye, or you unwashed masses have been calling a blob eye. and it's basically a concept that's almost identical to Boogie's, but his is it's real nice. I'm not gonna lie. Like Dylan even has to admit, and Dylan did God's work on Boogie's. I think the one thing I'm a little worried about, and we'll see how it works. But your the hole in the back of the headlight going into the oil cooler ducting, I'm wondering if it's too small. But then again, that might actually work. I'd have to like do math on that, and I can't do math. But I think you killed it there, dude. Great job. Looks sick. WRC style top mount to add more travel and adjustment as possible. Let me have that. Hey, it's cool. Okay. I'm happy you're happy. I need a duct attachment for the back of my P1 fog covers for oil cooler as well. I mean, maybe you have to have a conversation with Nolan. Nolan seems to be the guy. Okay. I think Nolan should sell that setup. I personally, I think IAG should make that, but what do I know? I'm just a sales guy. I think it's sick. I think it's just completely sick. And I would love to see a production version of that. I'd like to see more stuff like that. Now, here's what I am going to say. And I'm not trying to give Nolan a pass or anything on this, but one, shit like this ain't going to be cheap. Why? Nolan's got a fuck ton of time into that. Okay. And two, Nolan's only going to sell like maximum of 10 of these. All right. He ain't going to sell very many of them. They're not high volume stuff. So when Nolan says this costs X amount and it's more than what you think it is, it's because it has to be worth Nolan doing it. All right. So like, if you guys think this is cool, nobody else is going to make a cheaper version of it. Buy Nolan's. It's probably going to be more expensive. It's going to be worth it. This is how you support the community to make cool shit. You have to buy the cool shit. You just buy it. It isn't, nobody's going to make a cooler fucking duck than that. It's just cool as shit. So if you got a peanut eye, okay, and you want to make, and you're going to be doing track days and whatever, and you want a really slick way of doing your oil cooler, buy that. That's cool. That's super cool. And the other, you could always throw your stock headlight back in later on. Okay. You could totally do it. Ooh, look at what, yeah, see, now Adam's doing it the way I was thinking about redoing Boogie, and I really like that, Adam. I really like that. So basically, tipping the oil cooler upright so it's behind the headlight, and then instead of the duct coming up and it sitting flat like we have it, like working really hard on getting the duct out to try to lower the pressure as much as humanly possible behind the cooler. I'd be very interested to see how Adam's data works. I'm interested to see what kind of temps he makes on that, because I bet you it's pretty good. I'm hyped to see Adam back out on track. We should all be following his build too. Dude, you need to be posting more of that shit. Like that's such cool stuff, man. I love this kind of crap. Why is that not up in track, Subies? Why is everybody not on your Insta checking shit out? I just think it's so cool. Chassis mount wing for the GD coming along, inspired by the old Cognition wing. That looks cool. I'm about it. That looks really cool. So Alex is showing, it's really hard to, I'm talking about these things when it's supposed to be in an audio format. I'm realizing that now. But that chassis mount wing that you're putting together looks really good. Basically I can't stress this enough. With a good wing, wings on especially GD chassis, they don't do trunk mount very well. Okay. They end up bending the living shit out of the trunk. The trunk's just not solid enough for it. You got a chassis mount. So you're probably going to have to cut holes in your trunk and go all the way into your, like down to the frame rails. Okay. So it looks like you got something coming together real good there. A lot of this is all visual. Yeah, I got to be real. Like, you're Adam Wood, you're putting together some sick stuff. Look up Adam Wood on Instagram. And then Nolan, I don't know what your Instagram is, but people need to look up Nolan's stuff too. Maybe we can link it. I don't know, but um, I'm very hyped. Your oil cooler setup, basically, I'll try to explain this for those who are going to see this. There's a duct on the headlight, just like we have on Boogeyman. That's our oil cooler is behind said duct. Okay, so the air comes straight in, and it kind of it's ducted upwards, and then the oil cooler sits basically parallel with the hood. Okay, so the air then exits through, and then we have vents on our hood. That's where the lower pressure side is, and the hot air is pushed out that way. That's how Nolan set his up, and I think it looks absolutely fantastic. I hope Nolan sells that as a full kit because it looks great. I hope that works out and he builds those kits for other cars too. Um, I'd like to see him take a different approach for the. I'd like him to take a look at what Graham did on his oil cooler setup with the fog light ducting that he did, but Graham is on a GR chassis, and the GR chassis is just set up so perfectly for that. You'd be crazy not using it, but he should make ducting for that. Okay, make that, Nolan. Okay, you should. The most obvious way you could make these, you should make these kits, and I would love nothing more than to become a full blast like parts manufacturer, and then I have a wholesale account with you to sell this stuff. I think it would be sick. Adam, you need to post stuff. Again, Adam, if you guys don't know who Adam Wood is, Adam does GLTC in a GC. He was in a wagon, and then unfortunately we did an old episode. Go listen a few. It was probably like, I don't know, year and a half ago we did that episode, but definitely go listen to Adam's episode. You'll learn a lot about Adam. It was great. I drove Adam's car at Laguna when we were there. It's awesome. And he unfortunately bumped a wall later on, and he's been rebuilding the situation ever since. And I'm hyped to see him back because I truly think that car was about to start making headway in that class. So, Nolan, the VA at the local track has the wing that goes through the trunk into the floor into the pan. Motorsports 3D headlight, custom ducting for a 19-row set trab. For now, we can modify. Yes, let's. I can't stress it enough. Let's figure this out, Nolan. Come up with a cool name. We would be more than happy to help if we can. You know what I mean? I think it should be out there as a product. I don't think IAG has any ambition to build it as a product. So I would love to see you put effort into it and then give me something to sell. So I think it'd be great. So yeah, I gotta be real. I think that's about it. I think we're gonna call it right there. This has been fun. Thanks for helping me carry this, guys. And Dylan wants to come on and speak. We'll bring him on. I hit the thing, Dylan. Hey, what's going on?
Oh my God, my hands were busy.
You're the one who has to speak. What's going on?
So good news.
Okay.
Actually, let me see. Oh, I can do it on my phone.
Oh.
So everyone in the live chat can see what's going on. So about 2 weeks ago, we started tearing into old girl back here, and I just wanted to do a quick
Boogie, by the way,
for those that are in the chat.
Yes.
We tore the trans down. She is now back together as of moments ago.
Nice. We took some pictures of it. The trans looked really good. The trans looked fantastic.
It did, actually. A whole season on it. There's a little bit of wear, but like way better than I thought it was going to be completely honest. I have a table full of parts, clutch, all sorts of stuff, dry some stuff, turbo, all sorts of stuff over here, all sorts of stuff over there, and of course the car in a million pieces. So it is definitely a countdown to CMP and testing, as well as the new suspension is on the car. Nate is actually making these custom lateral arms that we needed because the new KWs that we talked about earlier those guys, they're inset more in the rear. So the strut is actually more straight up and down versus kicked out a little bit with the camber. So a lot of cool things going on. I don't typically get to show a lot of the behind the scenes stuff, so I wanted to jump in on the live chat to kind of give the live listeners a little bit sneak peek
Hey, if you
into
guys are
what's going
listening
on.
live, this is the way to do it. We got a bunch of cool stuff happening with Boogie. And if you know the live listeners, after I end this, I'm gonna sprinkle in some new stuff because I actually there's some stuff I want you guys to check out. But let me kill the recording here and let's do that. Okay, so stay here. Okay. It's been real. It's been fun. It's been real fun. If you are listening to this on Spotify or whatever, please give us a like, give us a comment, and go blow up Koning. Okay, we want gold wheels. That's what's up. And let us know. If you guys have any other questions, if you missed this Ask Dewey episode and you wanted to ask a question, ask in the comments on Spotify, YouTube, wherever. Just ask. I check all of them. And if you got any questions or you need something that's not on our site, give us a call. That's why we're here. And we're more than happy to help you out. Again, it's been real. It's been fun. It's been real fun. We will see you guys next time. Later.